YouTube and Facebook. We are live. I have the privilege of bringing my father on today, so I'm not even going to read anything off the computer. I'm going to try to give you a little background about him off the cuff. I've got my co-host Matt Druin here today. He's going to dig into my childhood a little bit. Hopefully, nothing too embarrassing. And so my father, he is a transportation company owner, but he started out working for somebody else and just building his business from the ground up. And I remember growing up, the sacrifices that he had to make for the family. And, there's just, I kind of feel like I have a little bit of a different perspective when it comes to, starting a business and what it really takes to launch when you don't have somebody behind you that's helping you. Luckily I've had him and my mother helping me, go through college and then also break out and start my own companies. But he really didn't have anybody behind him, mentoring him. So I think it's going to be an interesting episode to really dive into what motivated him to do that and how he figured it out and who his mentors were along the way. So without further ado, I am going to bring on my father, Mark Updegraff, who is not a senior. We've got different middle names. All right, here he comes.
Afternoon, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going well.
That's good. So I think you heard the introduction. I think what we should start with is just, your journey into becoming an entrepreneur, because it is really a leap of faith to branch out and not have that W-2 income or not have a steady, defined, definitive, like I can pay my bills when you go that entrepreneurial route. So do you want to talk a little bit just about how you got started in the industry and what motivated you to move to start your own business?
I was probably 24, 25 years old, I think, when I bought my first truck. Didn't really have any aspirations of growing the business. Just I wanted to get out, work on my own. I always liked to drive. I thought trucking would be kind of cool at that young age. I was married. We had no children. Lived in an apartment, so my responsibilities were not all that great. And it's hard work, and it still is hard work, not quite as hard, but you just work hard. A guy told me 45 years ago, if you work hard and you have a little luck, you'll be okay. And that seems to still ring true to this day.
Who was that person that gave you that advice?
It would have been Coleman Wooliver at Wooliver Brothers Transportation. About the second day I had my first truck and went down to sign on to haul some lime for them for the Agway stores. So, yeah.
What motivated you to buy the truck, and like, what did that look like as far as, going to the bank and getting the loan? And I'm sure you didn't have was somebody pushing you to do this or mentoring you, or is it just something you said, hey, I'm going to go to the bank and figure this out?
It was me. It was all me. I borrowed $12,500 for the first used truck and the first used trailer. My mother co-signed because I was so young, and it was a 3-year loan. I paid it off and bought my second unit then without a co-signer, believe it or not, because I had a good track record at that point. So your credit does mean something as you move through life, and I'm sure everybody knows that.
And how old were you for your second truck?
So probably 28.
Okay.
Before you were around.
Yeah. And so did you know who you were going to haul for when you left that dump truck and you decided to buy a truck? Like, that seems kind of risky to just buy a truck and really not know what you're going to do with it.
Well, I had a guy that told me, hey, we can haul, you can haul coal. You get a truck and a trailer and I'll show you the ropes, which he did. And at that point, it was just the regulations on trucking were very lax back then. You could work about as whatever you wanted to. You could haul pretty much whatever you wanted to. Of course, that's all changed. But back in the day, it was, you could work hard. You could make a buck. much
Yeah.
easier going. You know,
It's 'cause
fuel was 50 cents a gallon.
Mhm. Yeah, it's people just trusted people to be reasonable and to be able to operate without having the government oversights, right? That's
No,
probably
the
why.
government didn't trust anybody. You just skirted around it.
Okay.
That's just how it was. I mean, that's the industry back then.
Yeah.
There were
And so
there were
you
lots of owner operators, which I was one of, and the owner operator in this day and age is almost extinct.
mhm.
The big companies have come in and bought the smaller companies, and that's how that's transformed over 20 years or 30 years. I wish I could I wish I could put about 4 owner operators on working for me right now. I can't find any.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So let's back up a little bit. So you were 24 when you bought your first truck. What were you doing before that?
I worked at a John Deere dealer working on heavy equipment. And
Okay.
then I was there 2 years, and then I went to a demolition company where I started driving my first truck. It was about a 1962 B model Mack with no air conditioning, no air ride seat, no nothing. When men were men.
Yeah. So in terms of growing up, like before all of that, like what was your childhood like?
Born and raised on a farm. My father passed away when I was 6. My mother kept the farm and leased the land out to another fellow that was close by there that had a farm also. And I just kind of grew up on a farm, always puttering with lawnmowers and engines and cars and that. So I naturally migrated that direction. And that's part of the trucking part. When we first started out, you couldn't afford to take your truck to a garage every time something broke. So you learned very quickly how to do things yourself and do them correctly and do them cheaply.
Mhm.
That was self-preservation.
So you kind of learned this mechanical inclination just out of necessity then, or were you kind of like always attracted to it? Like you just were interested in how things worked, or was just like, ah, damn, we just got to do this for survival, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was always interested in it, but then when it came down to having to do it, or sometimes at midnight, you didn't have an option to take it to a garage. If something broke, you fixed it.
Mhm.
You had a couple parts on hand. You threw a couple parts under the bunk with a little toolbox and some duct tape, and there's you can get very creative and get yourself out of about 90% of the jams if you know how to do a little bit. This day and age, as soon as something happens, a driver will call me on the phone. Hey, my alternator's not charging. I said, okay, have you stopped to open the hood to see if the belt's on it yet? Oh, no, I'm still driving.
Uh-huh.
That's what we deal with now compared to helping ourselves out years before that.
No, I think I'm guilty. I had, I'm a newer parent. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and my in-laws, God bless them, but they mail ordered a little, playhouse, right?
Yep.
And this thing came into about like 2,000 pieces. And I opened up this box and I laid all the parts out on the floor. I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, because, I think that, for better or for worse, I mean, I think that one thing is that as we've, we're get used to conveniences and that type of thing and not having to, build everything from scratch, which definitely allows us to spend our time in terms of really, developing skills in a particular like lane or niche, but it renders us useless if we have to go outside of that. So Mark, I think that Mark's screen
Yeah.
fell asleep.
Yeah, he's gonna have to shake just touch the mouse and it should come back on, Pops.
Yeah, it's back on. I mean, I still do drive occasionally. They don't let me out much anymore, but I still do once in a while, and I always enjoy that. Um, My son-in-law, Dave, we went to West Virginia or someplace to get furniture with my pickup truck and a U-Haul trailer. And on the way back, the alternator quit working. And then we were in Virginia somewhere. And it was on a Saturday evening late. Got off the road, talked to some local people at the gas station. They pointed me in the right direction for a Advanced Auto or whatever. I went down there, got an alternator, didn't have a tool with me, came back, and we changed the alternator under the street light in the gas station parking lot. And my only other option would have been to sit there till Monday and then get it hauled to a garage and have a garage do it.
Mm-hmm.
But things like that, I think anybody with a little determination and a little bit of know-how can do that. Is it the easiest thing to do? Absolutely not. Is it fun? Not all the time. Can it be done? Yes. I mean, and there again, it's out of necessity and somewhat of a personal challenge too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we lost your video feed, Dad. Did you click on something, or do you see yourself?
I touched nothing.
Do you see yourself on the screen?
Huh?
Can you see yourself on the screen?
Yeah. I can see everybody. I can hear everybody. I didn't touch anything. My hands, I know better than that.
Okay, so it may be the does he have a separate camera on there?
He's using the built-in.
On an Apple.
Yeah. So because sometimes what happens is my computer falls asleep, and then my video goes out or my audio goes out there's
like a little settings button for you with like 3 dots. If you click on it,
I do not see that.
All right. Well, we can keep you in the dark. I don't know if you want to play with it or have Mom look at it.
Well, Mom can look at it. All that is above my pay grade. I wouldn't even know where to look, or if I did look, I wouldn't know what to do. So
stay seated.
Okay, so your mom's gonna come over. You can keep asking.
The problem?
Can't see me.
Yeah, we can't see it, and this is important to Mark and me because we want the grandkids, the great grandkids to see this someday. So
okay, so Mark Claire, he's on full screen. Do I need to take him out of that? Because I don't see any buttons.
Oh yeah, take him out of full screen.
Okay.
And then when he's back there, you're gonna see like above where in the upper left hand corner, you're going to see where his name is, and there's going to be 3 little dots that are next to the green bars. So click that, and then click on video settings.
No, he meant over here. You're over at the
on
internet.
Him or over here where it says Mark Updegraff. Video.
Yeah, we're in the upper left hand corner where it says Mark Updegraff. You're going to see
I clicked on it.
All right, and you clicked on video settings.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then you're going to see on video input, there's a drop down menu there. So you click that little downward arrow and see what drops down.
Yeah, it has FaceTime, HD camera, and standard definition 480, 30 FPs, and then mirror cameras lit up.
Okay, so try that long one, the 480p or whatever, and selecting that.
Not on.
I know.
And if that doesn't come up,
it won't come up.
Okay, so try one of
the
those
build-in. Did one say build-in?
One said high definition. Let me try that one. That one went in. Did that work?
No, so it's on the video input. So not the video resolution, but the video input. If you go down there and if you select on built-in.
Oh, video input. All right. It only has the FaceTime one as the video input.
Oh, that's the only selection. Even if you click the drop down, the drop down menu.
I did click the drop down. It doesn't give me any other choices.
Oh dear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mark, do you want to get him to leave and then click the link to come back in through the email and see if that changes something?
Yeah, why don't you guys do that? Just
Dude,
leave the
it's-
room.
Okay,
back
I'll
in.
leave and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah, because dude, we need to see your dad's face. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Okay, so let's have him leave and come back in. Do I just go to that? Just go.
There we go.
Okay. Sorry, everybody.
All right. So, anyways, I mean, this is something to talk about because I know you and I talk about social media and marketing a lot, and one of the reasons why I heard something that really stuck with me, it was somebody that was like, I'm so active on social media in terms of like what I do because like this stuff will live out there for a long time, and I wish my dad was a huge advertiser. He got like he took out entire pages in the DNC to advertise his listings, that sort of thing. And I always wish like social media was down around then. So he did the same thing that I could. So I could feel like I was hanging out with him and that sort of thing. And that's like why video is so powerful. So I'm hoping that at some point in time, my daughter
Yeah, it looks like it's working.
It is?
You can
Okay.
keep going. Yeah.
All right. But yeah, so I'm hoping like sometime my daughter and then maybe her kids can come by. And it's like, yeah, damn, I want to learn the real estate thing.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
Okay, I got to scroll down here somehow.
What's wrong?
Well, I can't see the other two guys.
See, I know when I'm getting old because when I start asking Luke technological questions about computers, I can see myself fast forward in 20 years being my dad right now. Like, how do I do this thing?
I can do what I need to do. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, I don't do bad with the phone and getting business done and doing what I need to do. I don't go too far outside of that box, but I know what's in that box and I can work it.
Yeah. So I don't know if Matt, if you had a question, if we were there, if you want me to jump in.
No. I mean, I just want to get a little bit about the background and that sort of thing. So you take it on there and interrogate them a little bit.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I remember growing up that I don't think he hired his first employee until I went to college. So that was like a lot of grinding, as an operator driving a truck before you even started to really scale your business and put yourself in a position where you're behind a desk more, well, pretty much all the time, right? You only drive if you absolutely have to or you want to.
Right. Well, I mean, it started out before you were in college. I had Bill Kozer work for me, and then I had his kid, and I actually had nobody does contractual work in my business to speak of, but you do your job and you do it well, and they'll keep you working. And I had trucks on with PepsiCo locally for about 35 years, hauling full goods out from the production facility and raw materials back in. That served me very well. It gave me the opportunity for incremental growth as they grew and traffic lanes opened up. I was the first truck there that they put on as an owner operator, and I had the first choice on whether I wanted to put an additional unit on, which I did. And that continued up to, I think I had 4 or 5 trucks on at Pepsi at one time. And then I diversified, and a fellow retired that had, he did food grade salt from Watkins Glen, U.S. Salt, and Cargill. And I bought his equipment and his customer base, and then we were into the pneumatic work. So it's been a lifetime of, to some degree, reinventing my company from hauling Pepsi, and then all of a sudden they pulled the plug on the production. They didn't need trucks, so I was diversified enough that I moved on to the next thing. Something I was already doing, and then went more that direction. So my saving grace throughout this whole journey has been diversification. I mean, I went from Pepsi to salt hauling, which I still do some of, but the pneumatic trailers back in 2010 when the fracking started, they came to me. I was the only one in the area that had pneumatic tanks. So I got my feet wet in that, and it turned out to be a very lucrative deal. And along with that, another outfit guy sold out, retired, and I bought about a dozen flatbeds and continued on a flatbed division to haul drilling pipe.
Mhm.
So we had a lot going on there for a number of years. Then as things changed, the fracking slowed down. Everybody wanted you to work for about nothing. You know, sometimes you just got to walk away from it, which I did on the hauling the sand. But other opportunities then come through. And right now we're doing Bayrite, which is a kind of like a cement mix, or it's limestone ground up, and we haul that pneumatics now for the drilling rigs for the gas wells. That's turned into hauling sand for foundries because I have a rail spur, and I've been developing that for the last 8 years, and that has grown incrementally and also served us very well for transloading and different customers. It's just kind of the progression of business once you get your name out there and you do what you do and you do it well and you have good recommendations.
So speaking of some incremental growth, what do you do for marketing in terms of growing your business, or has it been completely reputation, organic driven?
Completely reputation.
So
Do
you've
what
not,
you do and do it well.
so you never had to sell before?
No, not really. People have come to me.
Yeah, you're not selling, they're buying, right?
Yeah. I'm selling my service, and when I say something's going to get done, it'll get done in the time frame that the customer wants, and hopefully with a good rapport with the customer, you know, and everybody's happy. They come to me to fix their problem because either they haven't had a good carrier or they've tried to do it in-house and have not had luck doing that. So they come to companies like mine, small companies, to solve their problems. And as long as you can solve them, and they can call you up at 2 a.m. and say, you know, my widget machine broke and I need you to get this or do that, and you react and you leave at 2:15 to do what they needed done, you're golden.
Mm-hmm.
Now it takes more than one time, but that shows them that you are, you know, you're invested in their success as well.
Yeah, there's that mantra: no problem, no sale.
Yep, that's right.
Now, and I think as business owners ourselves, it's we're in the business of problem solving. Really not selling anything, and then discovering those those problems and seeing what other ways we can take what we know and our skills and translate it to a new set of problems to solve and that sort of thing. So how many different divisions do you have in your in your company in terms of different services you provide?
I kind of lump it all under one, but we do pneumatic, we do flatbed work, we'll do a little bit of van work occasionally. I've got a hot shot, we'll do some of that work. I lease some property. That's another division of the bigger company. We have L&A Futures, which owns the property, and L&A will lease to other customers, whatever footprint they're looking for X amount a month. So that's part of it. L&A actually stands for the first initials for Mark's son Luke, because he was first. They were, the L is for Luke and A is for Avon, his sister's firstborn son. So we just purchased this property, hence L&A. And then, and prior to that, I have a brokerage, KSM Brokerage, and that would be, I put the youngest child first, which is Kate, and the middle one was Sarah, and then the oldest was Mark. So we have KSM brokerage along with everything else we do.
Yeah, I think most people are familiar with like the real estate brokerage side of things, but maybe not the brokerage that you're talking about. So
Yeah,
you might want to
it
just
is not the same. It's an in-house.
Yeah.
If Joe comes to me and says, "Okay, I have a truck and I'm going to California. Do you have any freight?" I say, "Yes, I have some freight. I'm a broker. I'm bonded, so nobody's going to get beat out of any money." And they take the load, and I'm the broker for that specific load. So I collect from whoever the shipper is, and I pay the carrier.
It's like the wholesaler of trucking.
Yeah, and then I pay them in 7 days, and I get another 5%.
Nice.
That works. I mean, I'll wait 30 or 45 days or 60 days on my money, and I'm not a bank, and I can't do it for free.
Yeah.
That's just, but that is the norm in the industry. Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. The trucking company has many factoring companies, and 5% is the going rate. You want paid in 5 days or 6 days, you're gonna give up that percentage to get paid. That's how it works.
Yeah. Do you still broker to this day, or is that something that's kind of gone away?
That's kind of gone away. I've got one owner operator, Scott Willover. He gets 70% of the gross, and he runs under my authority, and I pay all the fuel taxes and do all the filings and all that. So it's good. I wish I had a couple more like that. That way,
Yeah.
I don't have to fool with employees.
Maybe we should talk about employees for a little bit. Matt, do you have any employees on payroll?
Our management company does, but they're direct reports to my partner David. I'm a salesperson. Okay, I'm sales and marketing. I'm not a leader. Okay, a lot of people think that sales, because salespeople use persuasion and communication in what they do, that a lot of people in terms of executive level think that salespeople are natural leaders and people to implement stuff with people and organizations, that sort of thing. So no, I don't, and it's for good reason, because I'm not good at it. People like to, the people that work for our company like to call me and catch up with me once in a while because they like to talk to me and I take an interest in them. But when it comes to the day-to-day type of things, I just, I'm more of a lone wolf, to be honest with you. So I just focus on the relationship building for our company, and relationship building for getting deals or opportunities to us, and also raising capital with our investment partners. So that's kind of my job. But I'm not a good leader or manager.
It's painful. It's painful. Just today, I had my mechanic who has the little man syndrome, and
he can listen to this, right? This is going to be on the internet.
And the driver come in and had a shouting match, and it lasted about a minute, I guess. And it got quiet, and I was doing something else, and I looked out, and the garage is dark. It's like, what's going on? Well, the mechanic was ready to go home. The driver stormed out the back door over something what I would consider fairly trivial. But that's a daily, it's a weekly occurrence, and it's just, the older I get, the less tolerant I become.
Yeah.
So, Mark, what about you? And how many employees do you have right now?
I think we're right around 15. We kind of ebbed and flowed from that number for a while. We're like everybody else. We could always use a couple more bodies. And like my dad's got a good saying, there's always somebody coming, there's always somebody going. And knowing that there's always somebody going, we're constantly looking for somebody to come. I like to have my marketing efforts on all the time. And if I find somebody great, then I grab them, even if I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with them, because I know that person, there's always somebody that's going to be going sooner or later. And if I can level up by getting that person that I might not have been looking for otherwise, because everything was pretty even keel and I didn't really have to have somebody on payroll, then I think that gives you a little bit of an advantage strategically against your competitors, because you're always marketing, you're picking up the top talent, and then you're getting rid of the people that aren't really performing as well as they should.
Mhm.
Like we had to get rid of somebody just the other day. I let my foreman do the hiring for his team, and when he hired him, he said, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good." And then I told him what my dad always says, you don't know until they're there for 90 days
Mhm.
and see what you got. And he made it just about 90 days, and he's out the door. So Mark says, "Hey, I need 2 more people." And I said, "Do you need 2, or should we find 3? Because we know that probably 1 or 2 of those aren't gonna make it past the 90 days anyway."
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's when the honeymoon's over. 90 days.
Oh yeah, no, I've worked with people that the first month they're employee of the month, and then the second or third month they're disgruntled employee of the month.
It goes down. But probably at the end of 3 months, you know who you have. Whether what they will do, what they won't do, what they can, what they can't, and everything's a trade-off.
Mhm.
I mean, if you want employees, nobody's going to be perfect. This guy wants to be home at 4:00 on Friday, even though you're working till 5. So you work that in, but that's one of these situations, and all employees are like that. You really have to get to know their idiosyncrasies, what they like, what they don't like, what they will and what they won't do. I mean, that's because you can't ask Frank on 5:00 Friday afternoon, "Hey, do you want to go for an 8-hour run somewhere?" It ain't going to happen. But if you ask Joe, "Yeah, no problem, I'll go." So
Mhm.
you got to know what you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mark, what did your dad, I don't know, kind of like, what are the key takeaways in terms of like what you learned from your dad growing up, and how, what made you the person you are today?
This will be interesting.
Well, when you tell somebody you're going to do it, you got to do it. You got to follow through. The follow through's got to be there. So that's the most important lesson. And part of that follow through is like doing it promptly, right? You can't say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do it," and then you put it off, and you know in your head, "Oh, I'm eventually going to do it." That doesn't work in business. Like when you tell somebody you're going to do something, you do it.
Mhm.
So I tell everybody that I'm mentoring that I treat business like ping pong.
Mhm.
It's like if somebody hits the ball over to my side of the net, I hit it back. It doesn't matter what time it is, what day it is. You got to get the ball back over. Now, that doesn't mean you have to drop what you're doing and service them, but it means that you have to be in communication with them, with a plan, with an action item steps, like, okay, you can expect that now, tomorrow Billy is going to come over and fix your sink, or whatever it is. As long as you hit the ball back over the net, you're good until the ball comes back to your side of the net again.
Mhm.
It comes to your side, you hit it back over. Every single time you hit the ball over, you're going to be golden.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think I can definitely appreciate that. I mean, one of the things is that, as business owners, we're always like, having competing priorities between everything, right? I mean, whether it comes to, employees and growth and all that stuff. But I find that when you prioritize like those things, those tasks you have to do that involve getting the ball out of your court first, because then you're buying time on the other end. Because a lot of times what happens is we like to stay in like our head in terms of our own task list, but we're neglecting all those things that have a lead time in for counterparty to do. So I'll figure out in terms of that list of stuff that I need to accomplish for that day. All right, what are the top things that I need to like get a ball out of my court into, so then I can get the ball back in their court, and then work on the other stuff that I'm not necessarily involved hitting a ball out of a court.
Yep. Yep. Make a list and wade through it first thing, and then move on to everything else.
Yeah, my list gets long, and then one of my priorities this week is just to, by end of day tomorrow, just to blast through the entire list and take it from 65 items down to maximum of 5. So I got my work cut out for me.
Just remember, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Never lose sight of that.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Well, Mark, I'm curious about, you became, self-employed at a pretty young age. 24 is you became self-employed when you bought your first truck, right?
Correct.
Okay. What was the motivation for that? Was that like, oh, I don't want anybody else telling me what to do? Was there some other reason for that?
No, I think I just like to drive.
Mm-hmm.
I'd driven truck a little bit, and always kind of had that in the back of my mind. And I saved one thing up here. I'll get it real quick and I'll show you.
But why would you not just drive for somebody else? You decided to actually buy a truck and drive for yourself.
Because I wanted to call my own shots. I wanted to control my own destiny. Here's something from, how do I do that?
There you go.
1974. That was my take-home pay
Mm-hmm.
for a week, for a 40-hour week.
Was that $5?
No, $99.
I can't see it. It's backwards.
$99.54, and $5 was for my retirement. That was
No,
1974.
$99 a week.
A week for a 40-hour week. So I keep that behind me as a reminder of where I've been and where I've come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot, I like to say that I kind of got into being a business owner. It wasn't for money purposes. It was just for, I wanted to do my own thing as well. But I did have like the sort of the bad idea that I don't want anybody else telling me what to do. Right. Well, fast forward to actually being and owning a business. I'm like, some days I'm just like, please just tell me what to do. Just anything. Because,
you always have a boss, and there's always somebody
mm-hmm.
telling you what needs done. Now, maybe it's not the guy down the street, but somebody is telling you, we need you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you facilitate it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you do the who, not how, and you facilitate it with other people, other who's, right?
Depends on how much time you have, how fast they want you to react. If you got a half a day, then you can probably plug somebody else into that task. But if they want it done now, sometimes you just got to saddle up and do it.
Yeah, that's true. I find myself in that dilemma a lot.
Yeah, I think that what I was talking about was like when you were, maybe this still happens to you this day. Do you ever get lonely being a business owner in terms of like, I wish somebody would just tell me what to do in this situation.
Yeah, that's why I like to go for a drive once in a while in a truck and just turn the FM radio on and just go, turn the phone off. I can get out. I can make a run if I leave about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night and I'm back by daylight. So I'm back in the office all day that day when I get back in. So I'm not really schlepping any responsibility. So I'm back here in the office, but it still gives me what I consider a pretty nice break and what I do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his idea of a good time is not sleeping all night and driving a truck and then going to work for the rest of the
Oh, so Mark, let me ask you the converse of a question I asked earlier: is to what have you learned from your son?
What have I learned from my son?
Either from him or about yourself.
Well, I'll have to let that one sink in a little bit. I know what he is. I don't know if I've learned a lot from him because I think I've taught him hopefully more than he's taught me in a short span of questions and answers. But I do know that he is following in my footsteps as far as the entrepreneurial part of things. He takes things seriously. He tries to treat people very fairly. And if he has to go one way or the other, he'll go with the side of where he might take it a little tougher than whoever he's dealing with. I've taught him two things in life, I think, very well. One is if you're going to do a job, do it the best you can. I don't care if you're cleaning toilets or pulling carts, you do it the best you can. And the other one is when you give a handshake, make sure it hurts. I had a guy.
So he learned that from you. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had a guy that I was introduced to last week. Younger fellow, pretty husky, and I grabbed his hand and he almost cried. And I said, I didn't think I squeezed that hard. But that you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think to expound upon that, I mean, one of the things like my daughter's 3 years old, and one of the things that I've been learning a lot about myself, going through the whole parenting process and all that, and I think I've learned a lot from her, from the standpoint that one thing is like we took her to Disney World twice this year, okay, and it was like in November we went. It was like super busy, so we had like a mulligan and went back in like March or April or something like that. And this kid never had a better time than when she was out on the sidewalk in our hometown and saw like a hopscotch thing there, and then just started she had way more fun doing that than she ever did when she was in Disney World. Like something like that is like something that really taught me a lot about myself in terms of like expectations, and also about maybe just the simple things in the world can bring you inspiration or joy, and you don't have to necessarily go to Disney World or travel the world or do this or that or the other thing to feel those things. So that's just like one example as a parent.
It is a lot of times just the small things.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't teach you anything? Oh, man.
You got to get on your game a little bit.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I taught you how to use the computer and the phone and stuff.
You have assisted with that, but your mother's probably more, she's with the computer.
I can't help it if you don't understand what I'm telling you. I'm still teaching.
I'm an old dog when it comes to that. A lot of things I just don't have to learn.
That's true.
Well, yeah, maybe you can teach your dad how to make a LinkedIn profile. Unless he's already got one.
No desire to do that. I'm past that point in my life. I want to go.
He's ready to
unwind.
I want
to go under the radar, not above it.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk a little bit about real estate since we are real estate guys. I mean, my father and I got started in real estate together back in 2008. I had this aha moment. We were, my wife is from Pennsylvania, from Williamsport, and so we would travel down and visit. And I remember going into my dad's shop while she was visiting with her family, seeing what he was doing, and he had some guys that were like ripping the rubber off of these Cornelius kegs, and he said, "Yeah, they're Pepsi's paying me to get this stuff cleaned up. They're going to scrap the stainless." And I pulled up eBay real quick and I said, "Hey, why don't we just buy these kegs from Pepsi and then we'll resell them on eBay?"
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us a favorable price. Probably paid like scrap price or whatever for them. We cleaned them out, sold them, and we used those profits to parlay into our first couple real estate projects. So I guess I'm kind of interested in what your thought process was behind when your crazy son had this idea that we should start buying real estate in Rochester, New York.
I really didn't have a lot of time to think about that because I was working my tail off down here. I mean, real estate is not what I do. Trust me. It's not what I want to do. I have by default some properties down here that I'm in charge of by virtue of where I am versus where Mark is in Rochester, of course. So, yeah, real estate's not my forte. It just, we have many properties up there. I turn that completely over to him to handle and to run. Yeah. I'm in transportation, not real estate.
Yeah, but I mean, you were renting that space from Nardi for a long time, and I think that was at the same time where you got interested in real estate yourself. As far as why am I paying $10,000 in rent? This guy won't sell me the building, even if I make him a more than fair offer. And I'm taking all the risk with these subtenants, and the subtenants are leaving, so now I'm stuck with the space. And then you kind of took the bull by the horns and found yourself a home. So I mean, it was like it or not, you're in real estate.
Well, that was out of necessity, like a lot of things in life are. I mean, I didn't choose. I was shopping, yes. Am I in real estate? No. Was I looking for uh, a specific space to move my company to? Yes. And there again, it was location, 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 and timing. And thanks to my wife, who did the legwork at the courthouse to find out who owned the place, and Mark for calling up the said owners of the building that were out in the Midwest somewhere, and they were just getting ready to put it on the auction block with Remax, and so close that Remax had the keys, but it hadn't gone on the market yet, and I bought it off market thanks to the coordination of my wife and Mark, and a couple bucks I had to throw them right away for a down payment on it. We didn't negotiate. It was a fair price, and it was just exactly what I was looking for, and even more. So,
Yeah.
That was just.
And now instead of having a master lease that you're responsible for paying somebody else, you have tenants on your property, and you've
Right.
actually turned that into an income producing property.
Correct. And passive income with my Verizon cell tower for my retirement.
Well, have you ever gotten offers on that cell tower before for a lump sum?
No.
Okay.
It's been almost 4 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
From the first chat to the third party that Verizon has contracted to do all the legwork and so on. And they just turned it on about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I have split that parcel off. Talk about real estate. I've
Mhm.
split that parcel off from the rest of L&A Futures that the business is on, and that will stay with me whenever the building and property is sold.
Mhm.
And that'll be my.
Who taught you how to do that, Dad?
You did. See, you did teach me something. I told you my memory's not all that good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't have to remember. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I've gotten some crazy offers for those cell towers because there's companies that buy them for income purposes, and they give them lump sum out there, but it's one of those things. It's like in terms of the stream of income off of it. Is it better for the long term stream of income, or get a lump sum and invest it in something else? So
I think the lump sum, it probably throws you up in another tax bracket. I mean, mine is a 25-year lease at a couple grand a month. It's all good.
Yeah. So what? So when are you thinking about getting out of the trucking business and hanging up your hat? What's your transition or succession plan?
A little check with big numbers.
Uh-huh.
Let's just say the feelers are out.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, how did you teach yourself about investing?
I didn't.
Okay.
Investing in what regards?
Anyway, I mean, there's so many different ways to invest, whether it's investing in your own business, or it's investing in real estate or stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities.
I have people.
Okay.
And so far, I've not been steered too wrongly. I mean, the stocks and bonds, the market goes up and it goes down, it goes up. So you're in it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less risk taking now than I was 10 or 20 years ago. So we're just,
But I mean,
and
you've invested significantly in your business,
yeah,
from the pneumatics to the vans to the parts, hiring the mechanic, buying the property.
and in our combined
Yeah.
endeavor.
Real estate ventures. Yeah.
And I think everything, I mean, if first of all, you need the tax deductions. You can't just make money without any kind of deductions. So that's almost a necessary thing in this day and age. You need to have something to depreciate out.
Mhm.
So, am I going to make equipment payments or am I going to pay Uncle Sam? Might as well get equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not really that up on percentages or anything like that. But if I need 2 trailers, we buy 2 trailers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of a supply and demand, customer driven. And whenever I buy something, the thought process should be with everybody. You know, if you want a plow truck, if I want another freight line or whatever, somebody's got to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for it.
Yeah.
And if you can justify somebody else paying for that piece of equipment, then by all means buy it.
Yeah. We've had 2 really light winters in Rochester for the last 2 years, and we've paid our plow contractor because, I think we got about 80 driveways that we do. We wrote them big checks for 2 years and really got 2-3 plows out of it. And this year I've been talking to my father. I'm like, I really want to just buy a truck and a plow. Of course, the staff doesn't want to hear that because they think we're going to get buried with snow and we're going to have, worse response rates on snow. I'm like, well, when we had plow guys and it was actually snowing, we still had bad customer feedback from the tenants. They're always going to complain that
Everybody wants to be
So-
first.
Yeah. So I'm really pushing to, instead of write that big check to the contractor, to use those funds to purchase a truck and a plow and just bring that in house this year.
Yeah, I'd try one, but I'd have somebody else in your back pocket. If you need 2 to supplement, that would be my recommendation. I wouldn't buy
Mhm.
2.
Yeah.
Get your feet wet with one and see what you have. I'm much more reserved as I've gotten older than
Yeah.
I probably was, 20 or 30 years ago. But now I see.
Well, maybe talk about that a little bit. Like, what did you do when you were younger that was riskier, and were there any things that you did that were a little too risky that you regret and that you would have done differently?
I don't know if I've really regretted anything. Now, there were good days and bad days, like any other business, or anything like that, and you just suck it up and you go. You can make some bad decisions. You can't make many of them all at once, or you won't be in business anymore. And everybody's going to make those decisions. It's going to be, oh boy, I really shouldn't have. It's too late, and you live with it, and you move on, and you learn. The school of hard knocks is always in your pocket, and once it gets into your pocket, you really sit up and take notice. Like, well, this isn't going to happen again, and it
Right.
won't.
Well said. What do you got, Matt? We're coming up on the hour. I know you got some good.
Yeah, no, I think just definitely some affirmations on things that we get told. I mean, one of the things that I learned through this conversation was don't feel bad to stay in one lane and focus on that and have that be your identity. A lot of conventional sort of business and finance wisdom is you got to be diversified. So I've had people that have talked to me in terms of that are more in the finance product side of the thing. There's like, Matt, you're really too heavily in real estate. You should have some diversification outside of that. I'm like, but that's my business. Like that's what I got control over. I mean, yeah, I mean, I have some, I have, passive investments that, I put with the right people, like, like Mark, you have I have the right people to handle that.
Right.
But it's all, but it's all right. And also I think it's, I think that you can get a very, very big competitive advantage with making investments into your own business. You understand, you run every day.
But also, if an opportunity comes, maybe not exactly what you're doing now, but you should be able to move on that opportunity. I mean, and if it comes your way and it looks good on paper and it's a win-win for everybody, then you would diversify yourself just by going at one step to the right or one step to the left of that box.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads, and you go from there to there, and then it just keeps going out as the opportunities come along, word of mouth, and the job you do, and does Matt do this now? And oh yeah, Matt does this. Okay, I'll call him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
But those other lines though had adjacent things to what you were already doing though. They weren't just like, completely out of the, the something from the logistics industry.
Correct. Yeah, it was all within that industry,
Mm-hmm.
but there's many different faucets to that. Right now, I have my own rail siding,
Mm-hmm.
and we do a lot of transloading from rail to truck or rail to. So we have a couple storage pigs out there that we unload the pressure differential cars into, and this we're doing super sacks of the special sand that goes to tennis courts and wherever. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is a customer of my customer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the middle of this transloading. I don't truck it, but I transload it, and I'm taking, I make pretty good money without turning the wheel on a truck and just a forklift and a couple guys and their labor, So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a facet, that's an opportunity that came through, not necessarily to transport, but it's still in that arena.
Mhm.
And somebody says, well, how far do you go, with your trucks? I said, I'll go anywhere if the money's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I will. That
Not
doesn't matter.
Not New York City, right? I thought New
No,
York City was out.
$1,800 for New York City. If they want to pay it, okay. If they don't, not a problem.
That really doesn't sound like that bad of a barrier to entry. I'm surprised people aren't taking you up on it.
It's
For
400.
1,800,
It's 400 miles round trip into the city and back to Williamsport.
you're charging $1,800.
$1,800.
Sounds like a steal.
Well, you got the $100 GW to go across. You've got
A
to
steal
pay
for the client. That's what I'm saying. Like it should be higher.
No. I mean, I feel that's a fair rate.
Okay.
And
Do you guys go into the city or not really?
No, I mean we have, but not usually. Not usually, because you got to pay the driver. You got to pay the driver. Yeah, additional wages because he is going into the city, hazard duty pay, and
Mm-hmm.
all the tolls. Going in and out. It's just, I'd rather not. How's that? But we do.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark, I avoid the city at all costs, man. We're driving down to, we're going to Long Island, from tomorrow, right? So we're way out in the North Fork. That's where the in-laws are. And so we'll go actually drive to Connecticut, take the New London ferry,
Okay.
to Orient Point. So if we drove through the city, it's about, best case scenario, it's, about 6.5 hours. If we drove through the city up to Long Island, Connecticut ferry is always consistently 8 hours. But if you go out to the city, there's those variables. If there's like one person that's got a flat tire, then it can set you back and you lose it.
Like I've always said, New York, New York. So good, they've got to say it twice.
That's right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. If anybody listening is looking to acquire a transportation company, they can reach out to my father. He's getting towards the end. Do you got anything else you want to pitch or anything, Pops, while you're on here?
I'm not cheap, but I'm good.
Yeah. If anybody's looking for transloading or trucking, got any operators that want to do some brokerage, go ahead and reach out.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Cool. You got any final words, Matt?
No, I'll be on Long Island next week for next Thursday's show. So it'll be a little bit different background, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, it'll be great. We will see you guys all here next Thursday at 2. Thanks for listening.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Have a good day. Thanks for the invitation, and hope I didn't embarrass anybody too much.
No, we'll see you in the green room, Dad.
Okay.
All right.
See ya.